The first thing Michael Turner heard that night was the sound of drums, soft, distant, and impossible. He froze halfway through latching the barn door, his breath hanging in the cold desert air. For 12 years, ever since the accident that took his wife and son, his ranch had been the kind of silence that made a man forget he existed. But tonight, as the wind carried those hollow, rhythmic beats across the valley, he knew life was returning to his land in a way he never expected. What he didn't know yet was that within the hour, 10 Apache riders would appear at the edge of his property, asking for shelter. And that by granting it, he would change all their lives, including his own, forever. Michael told himself he didn't want anyone here. He didn't want noise, or company, or memories stirred up. But when he saw them, tired, dust-covered, the moon catching the desperation in their eyes, he felt something inside his chest that he thought had long turned to stone. They weren't an intrusion. They were a reminder that even a man who had lost everything might still have something to give. Chapter 1 flowed quietly into motion the moment he stepped toward them. They came slowly, respectfully, stopping several yards away. The eldest among them, a man with silver streaks braided into his long black hair, raised one hand in greeting. Michael's throat tightened. He had spent years speaking to no one but his horses and the occasional supply store clerk. Now 10 strangers watched him as though waiting for a verdict. "We seek shelter for one night," the elder said, voice steady but worn. "Storm is coming." Michael looked up. The sky was clear except for a thin wall of cloud at the far horizon. He knew the desert's moods, it could turn violent fast. Still, the part of him that feared connection tightened its grip. He opened his mouth to refuse. To tell them there was nothing here for them. To turn back into the lonely darkness he had built, but then he noticed a young Apache girl slumped sideways on her horse, barely conscious. Her small hands trembled as she clutched a blanket to her chest. "She's sick," the elder said quietly. Michael's decision was made for him. Without another word, he stepped aside and motioned toward the house and barns. "Bring her in," he said. As they moved, his heart pounded with something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Maybe fear, too. Maybe hope. Inside his warm kitchen, with lanterns glowing softly, he helped lay the girl down on the long couch. Her breathing was shallow. Michael fetched water, blankets, and his old first aid kit. One of the Apache women took over tending to the girl, but she nodded her gratitude each time he handed her something. The storm hit suddenly, rain hammering the tin roof like stones. Wind tore across the ranch, rattling windows. The 10 Apaches gathered quietly around the room, their presence filling spaces that had sat empty for so long the dust felt like part of the walls. As thunder rolled across the valley, Michael found himself sitting at the table with the elder. "My name is Nate," the man said. "We did not mean to trouble you." "It's not trouble," Michael replied, though he wasn't sure if he said it for Nate, or for himself. Nate studied him for a moment, then smiled, the soft, knowing smile of a man who had lived through storms, inside and out. "You have been alone a long time." Michael stiffened. "That's how I prefer it." "Is it?" Nate asked gently. Michael didn't answer. He couldn't. Instead, he stared at the rain-shattered darkness beyond the window. All he saw was the night his family never came home. Hours passed. The storm soaked the desert. The Apaches slept where they could, on blankets, on the rug, near the fire. Only Michael and Nate remained awake, keeping watch over the fragile girl who now breathed steadily. As dawn approached, the storm faded, leaving the world washed clean. Nate rose to check on his people, then returned to Michael with unexpected news. "We must travel north," he said. "But the sick one, Sonny, cannot ride yet. She needs rest for at least 2 days. Perhaps 3. Michael felt the familiar instinct to retreat rise up again. 3 days of strangers? 3 days of memories scraping against walls he'd built for years? He wasn't sure he could bear it, but then Sonny stirred, her small voice breaking the quiet. "Thank you, rancher." Michael swallowed hard. "You're safe here." And the word surprised him, because he meant them. Nate placed a hand on his shoulder. a gesture of trust, of kinship offered cautiously and respectfully. Your land shelters us. You shelter us. For that, we are in your debt. Michael shook his head. You don't owe me anything. But Nature's eyes said otherwise. That day, as the sun climbed, the Apaches set up a temporary camp behind the barn. Michael found himself working beside them, hauling water, repairing a broken fence rail, feeding their horses. For years he had done everything alone. Now, with extra hands, the old ranch seemed to breathe again. Laughter rose where silence used to sit. The warm smell of fire-cooked bread drifted across the yard. Children whispered stories under the cottonwoods. Michael tried to stay distant, but life has a way of pulling a man in when he least expects it. On the second evening, while the sky burned gold, Nate told Michael the truth. They were not simply passing through, they were fleeing men who wished to force them off ancestral land they had every right to live on. For the first time in years, Michael felt anger for something beyond his own grief. And he felt something else too, responsibility. The transition into Chapter 2 happened the moment he realized he didn't want them to leave. The following morning, two unfamiliar riders approached the property, rough men with hard eyes and sharper intentions. They claimed they were tracking runaway Indians. They demanded Michael hand them over, but something inside him snapped. He stood tall, shoulders squared. There's nobody here for you, he said, voice firm as the land beneath them. The men didn't believe him. They searched the barns. They eyed the footprints near the dirt path. Tension cracked like dry branches. When one reached for the barn door, where Sonny rested inside, Michael moved before he even thought. He blocked the entryway, jaw clenched. You'll need to go, he warned. Now. The men exchanged looks. They knew this rancher lived alone. They probably expected fear. Instead, they found a man who finally had something worth protecting. After a long, brittle silence, they turned their horses around and rode off. When the dust settled, Nate stepped from behind the barn, his expression a mix of gratitude and surprise. You chose us, he said softly. Michael looked at him, eyes burning, not from fear, but from the realization of what he'd done. Nobody gets hunted on my land, he said. From that moment on, the ranch was no longer a place of solitude. It was a sanctuary. The next days passed with a harmony Michael never knew he needed. He taught the Apache boys how to mend a fence line properly. The women taught him herbal remedies his wife once used. Sonny recovered enough to walk outside into the sun, her smile gentle but strong. Michael's heart felt something unfamiliar, something he thought he'd buried with his family, healing. When the time finally came for the Apaches to continue north, the ranch felt heavier, quieter, as if the walls themselves mourned the departure. They packed their horses. They thanked him. They hugged Sonny, who lingered beside Michael. Nate was the last to speak. You have lived in the shadow of ghosts, he said. But you are not alone anymore. Whenever you call for us, we will come. Michael tried to answer, but emotion closed his throat. He simply nodded. As the 10 Apaches rode away into the red morning light, he watched until they became silhouettes, then shadows, then memories woven into the land. But this time, the memories didn't hurt. He walked back toward his house with something he hadn't felt in more than a decade, hope, and every sunset after that seemed a little brighter, as if reminding him of the truth. No one heals alone. Sometimes, all it takes is opening a door to strangers for life to walk back in.